The rain hammered the Seattle streets like it had a personal grudge, turning the gutters into raging rivers that swallowed cigarette butts and broken dreams whole. I stood frozen in the doorway of my cramped apartment, the takeout bag slipping from my numb fingers to splatter pad thai across the welcome mat, noodles twisting like veins in the dim hallway light. There he was, Connor Hale, the ghost I'd buried 3 years ago, his alpha scent cutting through the storm like a blade, eyes locked on mine with a hunger that promised he'd tear the world apart to get what was his. "You think you can hide forever, Zachary?" His voice was gravel and thunder, low enough to vibrate in my chest, but laced with that betrayal I'd known was coming, the kind that doesn't shout, just simmers until it boils your blood. In his arms, cradled like a trophy he'd clawed from the earth, was our son, Elias, wide-eyed and silent, his tiny fists clutching Connor's soaked leather jacket as if it were the only anchor in the flood. I didn't run that night. Not at first. 3 years earlier, under the neon haze of a Manhattan dive bar, I'd let myself believe in the lie of one perfect stranger. It was my 25th birthday, the kind you spend dodging pitying texts from friends who'd scattered like leaves after college. I ditched the Omega support group, too many stories of suppressants failing, heats sneaking up like thieves, and wandered into O'Malley's, a hole in the wall on the Lower East Side where the whiskey burned honest and the jukebox played Springsteen like it owed him money. The bar was a symphony of American grit, faded stars and stripes peeling from the walls, truckers nursing drafts while eyeing the flat screens flickering with Yankees highlights, and that perpetual fog of Marlboro smoke clinging to the rafters. I ordered a Jameson neat, nursing it like a secret, when he slid onto the stool beside me. Connor Hale. 6'3" of alpha swagger wrapped in a threadbare Henley that hugged his shoulders like it was painted on. His scent hit me first, cedar and storm clouds, the kind that makes an Omega's knees buckle if you're not careful. But I was careful. Or so I told myself. "Bad night?" he asked, voice like aged bourbon, turning those steel-gray eyes on me. They weren't probing. They were claiming, even then. I laughed, sharp and self-deprecating, the way New Yorkers do to keep the vulnerability at bay. "Bad life." "You," he grinned, all teeth and trouble, flashing a dimple that should have been illegal. "Just passing through. Alpha from the heartland, Kansas boy, if you can believe it, chasing a deal in the city that never sleeps." He extended a hand, calloused from God knows what ranch work or boardroom battles, and when our palms met, it was electric. Not the cheesy rom-com spark, but a jolt straight to my core, stirring the heat I'd been suppressing for months. We talked for hours. Or maybe minutes. Time blurs when you're drowning in someone's gaze. He was a venture capitalist now, he'd said, bootstrapped from cornfields to skyscrapers, but the alpha in him shone through, protective, unyielding, with stories of Friday night lights and small-town scandals that made me forget my own mess. My heat was edging closer, a low simmer I'd ignored with double doses of blockers, but his proximity, it was unraveling me thread by thread. By last call, we were stumbling into his hotel room at the Ace, the kind of boutique joint with exposed brick and artisanal everything that screamed, "I'm successful but tortured." The door barely clicked shut before his mouth was on mine, hungry and unapologetic, hands roaming like he was mapping territory he'd always owned. I gasped into the kiss, Omega instincts screaming mine even as my brain yelled danger. Alphas like Connor didn't do one-nights with Omegas like me. Artsy baristas scraping by on tips and freelance graphic design gigs, buried under student debt and a family back in Seattle who'd disowned me for choosing the lifestyle at 18. But God felt like fate. He stripped me slow, reverent, murmuring praises against my skin. So beautiful, Zach. Fuck. You're killing me. As if I were some masterpiece in the Met. When he entered me, it was fire and homecoming, his alpha not swelling with a possessiveness that locked us together for what felt like eternity. We came undone in waves, sweat slick and breathless, his bites on my shoulder blooming like dark roses. Afterward, tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets, he traced lazy circles on my hip, whispering about road trips across Route 66, about building a life where alphas and omegas didn't have to hide. I believed him. For those stolen hours, I did. Dawn crept in with its judgmental light, and as he dozed, I slipped out, wallet lighter by the cab fare he'd insisted on covering, heart heavier than the Hudson. No note. No number. Just gone. Because alphas like Connor, they collect conquests like vintage watches. And me? I was the fool who'd let the heat win. Unprotected. Raw. 2 pink lines on a drugstore test confirmed it a month later. Back in my mom's basement in Capitol Hill, Seattle. Elias. Our son. Panic clawed at me. Connor's world was penthouses and power plays. Mine was minimum wage and midnight feedings. I'd seen the tabloids online. Hale Air Hunt's fortune 500. Engaged. Rumors swirled. Betrothed to some beta socialite for optics. The betrayal stung before it even happened. So I vanished. New name on the lease. Blocked numbers. A life rebuilt from thrift store onesies and community center playgroups. Now, 3 years on, that life shattered with a knock. Elias had been fussy all day, teething through another onesie, when the storm rolled in off Puget Sound. I'd scooped him up for a lullaby, some old Dylan tune about tangled destinies, when the bell rang. Mistake 1, opening the door without checking the peephole. Mistake 2, breathing in that scent again. Connor didn't wait for invitation. He stepped inside, water pooling at his boots. Elias balanced on his hip like he'd been carrying him for years. How? The question died on my lips as I took in the boy, my boy, staring at the stranger with wide, curious hazel eyes that mirrored his father's. Connor's jaw was sharper than I remembered, etched with lines from deals gone sour or nights alone. But those eyes? Still stormy, still devouring. Zachary Ellis, he said. Not a question. Voice dropping to that alpha timbre that commanded boardrooms and, apparently, ghosts. You owe me 3 years. And him, he nodded at Elias, who reached out a chubby hand to touch Connor's stubble, giggling as if this were normal. As if alphas stormed back into lives like hurricanes and expected tea. I backed up, heart slamming against my ribs like a caged bird. How did you find us? Came out whisper thin, laced with the fear I'd buried under bedtime stories and PDA meetings. His laugh was bitter, echoing off the IKEA bookshelves crammed with dog-eared paperbacks. Private investigators, social media scraps, a barista buddy who owed me a favor from that night. You think I'd let you ghost me without a fight? He set Elias down gently, the toddler toddling toward his toy bin with oblivious joy. Connor straightened, towering, his presence filling the room like smoke. I searched, Zach. Every city, every lead. Thought you hated me. Thought I'd scared you off with the knot, the talk. But this, he gestured at Elias, voice cracking just a fraction enough to humanize the alpha myth. This changes the game. As if our son were a merger, a hostile takeover. Rage bubbled up, hot and unfiltered, the omega in me bristling against the intrusion. Changes nothing, I snapped, snatching a dish towel to mop the spilled dinner, anything to avoid his gaze. You had your night. I had mine. Elias is mine. Connor's eyes darkened, that alpha flare igniting, pupils dilating, scent thickening until it coated my throat. Ours, he corrected, stepping closer, close enough I could see the pulse jumping in his neck. You don't get to decide that alone. The air crackled, charged like the storm outside. Elias babbled something about trucks, oblivious, but I felt the world tilting. 3 years of solo parenting, diaper dashes at dawn, doctor's visits with judgmental nurses, holidays haunted by what-ifs, and now this. Him. Claiming what I'd guarded with everything I had. That night, he didn't leave. Not when I begged. Not when I yelled. Not even when tears I'd sworn off streaked my face. He crashed on the couch, too broad for its frame, one arm slung over his eyes as if sleep could erase the chasm. I locked my bedroom door. Elias curled against me, his soft breaths a reminder of the fragile empire I'd built. But as thunder rolled, doubt crept in. What if he stayed? What if the alpha who'd haunted my dreams wasn't the villain I'd painted? Morning broke gray and unforgiving, coffee brewing like a truce. Elias woke giggling, demanding uppy, and when Connor appeared rumpled, hair a mess, I braced for the storm. Instead, he knelt, offering a toy truck pilfered from the bin. Hey, little man. Your dad. The word hung, tentative, like he was testing its weight. Elias beamed, thrusting the truck back. Play, and just like that, the fracture began to mend. Or so I thought. The first week was a siege disguised as domesticity. Connor didn't storm the castle. He infiltrated it, one playdate at a time. He'd show up at dawn with donuts from Pike Place. Glazed for Elias, black coffee for me, no cream, just how I'd confessed in that hotel room haze. Old habits, he'd mutter, avoiding my eyes as he bounced our son on his knee, eliciting peals of laughter that echoed through the apartment like sunlight after rain. Seattle embraced him grudgingly. The city of grunge and coffee snobs, with its perpetual drizzle and hipster enclaves, wasn't built for alphas like Connor, too polished, too Kansas straight arrow amid the flannel and fog. But he adapted, trading power suits for hoodies and Nikes, joining me for park runs along the Burke-Gilman Trail where joggers nodded like we were just another couple reclaiming post-baby bodies. Were we? The question loomed, unspoken, as his hand brushed mine during handoffs of sippy cups. Betrayal simmered beneath the surface, though. Mine? Mostly. I'd built walls from the scraps of that night. His whispered promises that evaporated with the morning light, the tabloid whispers of his engagement to Lila Voss, some venture darling with beta poise and a Rolodex of connections. I'd scrolled those articles in the dead of night, heat raging unchecked, convincing myself he'd used me, omega bait for a thrill before settling into heteronormative bliss. Now, watching him build block towers with Elias, reading Goodnight Moon in that deep timbre, I wondered if I'd conjured the monster. You're quiet today, he said one afternoon, as we pushed swings at Gasworks Park, the skeletal ruins of old gasification tanks looming like forgotten sentinels against the lake. Elias squealed, kicking his legs, while gulls wheeled overhead. I shrugged, the chill wind off Lake Union nipping at my scarf. Processing. You show up after 3 years, alpha my life like it's a startup pitch. What am I supposed to feel? Connor's swing creaked to a halt. He stood, all coiled energy, running a hand through hair still damp from the mist. Relief? Joy? Fuck. Zach. Anything but this ice wall. His voice dropped, alpha edge sharpening. I didn't know about him. You didn't give me the chance. And if I had? The words lashed out, sharper than intended. What then? Your boardroom buddies clapping you on the back for knocking up a stray omega? Or did Lila have a clause in the prenup for inconvenient litters? His face shuddered, jaw clenching like he'd been slapped. Lila was a setup. Family pressure, optics for the firm. We called it off months after you left. Said it felt wrong. He stepped closer, scent wrapping around me. Protective, pleading. You were the wrong one to run from. Elias tumbled off the swing, toddling over with muddy sneakers, breaking the tension. Connor scooped him up, planting a raspberry on his belly, and for a moment, we were a family. Fractured, yes, but piecing. That night, over takeout pho from the Vietnamese spot down the block, he shared fragments. The search that bankrupted his savings on PIs, the empty hookups that tasted like ash, the therapy sessions where he'd unpacked his alpha privilege like dirty laundry. You're not the villain here, I admitted, chopsticks hovering. But trust? That's earned. Connor. Not nodded. He nodded, eyes soft in the lamplight. Then let me earn it. The thaw came slow, like Seattle's spring. Mornings blurred into routines. Him dropping Elias at daycare before vanishing into co-working spaces. Me sketching logos for indie bands while stealing glances at his texts. Miss this view, with a photo of the Space Needle at sunset. Evenings were ours, walks along the waterfront. Ferry rides to Bainbridge where he'd steal kisses when Elias dozed on his shoulder. His lips tasted like salt and second chances, igniting sparks I'd forgotten. But conflict brewed, inevitable as tide pools. It hit during a weekend getaway to the Olympics, cabins in the rainforest, a family reset he'd pitched with boyish hope. Elias splashed in Ho River shallows, collecting pebbles like treasures, while we hiked the trail to Solduk Falls. Mist rose like steam from the earth, ferns brushing our calves, the air thick with pine and possibility. Halfway up, I broached the elephant. What happens when you go back? The firm's in New York. Your life's there. Connor paused, boot crunching gravel, sweat beading on his brow. I'm not. Sold my stake last month. Remote consulting now, flexible. For this, he waved at Elias, and me, at the wild green sprawl. For us. The word hung, seductive, but doubt gnawed. That night, by the fire pit, embers glowing like accusations. Oppressed. Why now? Really? PIs? Favors. Sounds like obsession, not love. His laugh was hollow, poking the flames with a stick. Obsession? Try devastation. You vanished, Zach. Left me gutted, questioning every alpha instinct I had. I loved you that night. Not the heat, not the conquest. You. He reached for my hand, thumb tracing my knuckles. And when I found out about him, it was like redemption. A piece of you I could hold. Tears pricked, unbidden. I leaned in, foreheads touching, breaths mingling. I was scared. Of you. Of us. Omegas like me, we get left holding the bag. Not this time. His kiss was fierce, claiming, hands cupping my face as if I might dissolve. We made love under the stars, slow and sacred. His body a map I'd relearned, scars from a childhood accident on the farm, the constellation of freckles across his chest. No, not this time. Just connection. Raw and real. Back in Seattle, bliss teetered. Until the call came. Lila Voss. Voice silk over steel via Connor's phone on speaker. Innocent enough. A congrats on the family from an old colleague. But her tone dripped possession. Mentions of our unfinished business, and a gala invite that reeked of strings. Connor dismissed it, but I saw the flicker old loyalties, alpha networks that didn't bend for love. Betrayal's seed took root. I pulled away, nights spent on the couch while he tossed in our bed. Elias sensed it, clingy and cranky, his tantrums mirroring the storm in my chest. Daddy sad? He'd ask, pudgy finger on my cheek. Not your daddy's fault, I'd lie, hating the echo of my own fractured childhood. The climax brewed at Alki Beach, 4th of July weekend. Fireworks cracked over Elliott Bay, crowds cheering as bursts painted the sky in red, white, and blue, America's explosive heart on display. We'd picnicked with hot dogs and sparklers, Elias mesmerized by the booms, but tension crackled louder. Connor tried bridging it over beers, sand gritty between our toes. Talk to me, Zach. Lila's nothing, water under the bridge. Bridges you might cross back to. I shot back, voice lost in the din. I see it, Connor. The pull. Your world's alphas like you, power, legacy. Not this. I gestured at the blanket, the boy dozing on a towel. His face hardened, alpha pride flaring. You think I'm that guy? The one who bails? He stood, chest heaving. I quit everything for this. For you. And if it's not enough? The words escaped. Venomous, born of old wounds. A family who'd called my omega nature a curse. Friends who'd faded when the pregnancy showed. It escalated fast. Yells drowned by explosions. Accusations flying like bottle rockets. You ran first, he roared. Hid my son like a dirty secret. Your son, I hurled back, standing, fists balled. I carried him alone, birthed him alone, loved him alone while you chased deals. Elias stirred, wailing, and the world narrowed to his cries. Connor reached first, scooping him up, but I snatched back, omega protectiveness surging. Don't. The fight fractured there, raw and irreparable. He stormed off into the night, silhouette swallowed by revelers, leaving me with a sobbing toddler and a heart in tatters. Betrayal, double-edged, his past pulling, my fears pushing. Days blurred into silence. No calls, no donuts. Just me and Elias, fortressing against the void. Until the lawyer's letter arrived, certified mail, crisp as a guillotine. Custody petition. Connor Hale seeking full rights, citing abandonment. My hands shook, ink blurring as rain lashed the window. The alpha had returned to claim. But at what cost? The lawyer's office downtown smelled of stale ambition. Polished mahogany and printer toner. The kind of place where dreams get notarized into nightmares. Ms. Hargrove, a beta with steel gray bob and eyes like contract clauses, slid the papers across her desk like a dealer in a high-stakes poker game. Mr. Hale is within his rights, she said, voice clinical. Alpha parentage trumps in contested cases, especially with DNA confirmation pending. DNA. The word iced my veins. I'd known it was coming. Connor's texts had escalated to voicemails, gravelly pleas laced with alpha command. We need to talk, Zach. For him. But this? A gauntlet thrown in legalese, demanding supervised visits. genetic tests, the whole bureaucratic ballet of broken families. I left the office numb, weaving through Pioneer Square's lunchtime bustle, suits barking into phones, street musicians strumming Nirvana covers for tips. Seattle's pulse mocked me, hip, resilient, but undercut by the same fault lines that cracked my world. Back home, Elias napped in his racecar bed, oblivious, while I paced the kitchen, phone clutched like a lifeline I couldn't throw. Betrayal burned deepest now, not just Connor's lawsuit, but my own naivety. I'd let him in, thawed under his touch, only for the alpha instinct to bare teeth. Omegaverse laws favored them. Providers, protectors, patriarchs. Stories flooded my mind. Support group tales of Omegas losing everything to X's with deeper pockets. I couldn't let that happen. Not to Elias, my anchor, the tiny miracle who'd cooed through my darkest heats. That evening, as the city lights flickered on like hesitant stars, I called my brother, Theo, the only family who'd stuck, a fellow Omega scraping by as a barista in Tacoma. He's suing, I choked out, voice splintering over the line. Theo's sigh was Pacific Northwest weary. Pack up, Zach. Start over. Vancouver's got good programs. Omega's anonymous. Fresh slate. Run again. The thought twisted like a knife. But what choice? Connor's resources dwarfed mine. He'd bury me in appeals. I spent the night Googling relocation grants, packing Elias's toys into bins labeled memories, each one a shard. The stuffed whale from our aquarium trip, the finger paint smock from preschool. Dawn brought a knock, not thunderous, but tentative. Connor, hollow-eyed, bearing a peace offering of croissants from Lupanier. Don't sign yet, he pleaded, stepping in when I didn't slam the door. Hear me out. Elias lit up, abandoning his blocks to hug Connor's legs. Up, Dada. The slip, first time he'd said it, hung like fragile glass. Connor lifted him, burying his face in soft curls, eyes glistening. We sat at the table, Elias between us like a buffer, crumbs scattering as he tore into pastry. It's not about taking him, Connor said, voice raw. It's about fairness. You shut me out, Zach. 3 years of nothing, then this wall when I try. Fairness. I laughed, bitter as burnt coffee. You waltz in, play house for a month, then lawyer up when I question it. That's alpha privilege, Connor. Not love. His hand trembled on the table, knuckles white. Love? Damn right it is. But love doesn't mean surrender. I need rights, visitation, decisions. For his future, he leaned in, sense softening, coaxing. School funds, health insurance. Things you shouldn't shoulder alone. The offer tempted, a siren's call. But trust, shattered. And when Lila calls again, or the next deal pulls you east, Lila's married. To a senator's son. Ancient history. He pulled out his phone, scrolling to a wedding photo, her beaming in white, him cropped out. See? Done. It humanized him, this alpha-bearing vulnerabilities. But the wound festered. Why the suit? Then, if it's love, why the war? Because you force my hand. Frustration cracked his composure. Alpha flare sparking, pupils blowing wide, voice dropping to a growl. Every step, you push. I bare my soul. You armor up. What am I supposed to do? Beg forever. Elias whimpered, sensing the shift, and I pulled him to my lap. Omega soothing pheromones flooding instinctively. Enough, I whispered. Not in front of him. The silence stretched, heavy as fog. Connor deflated, rubbing his temples. I'm sorry. God, Zach, this is killing me. He reached across, hesitating until I nodded, our fingers lacing tentative bridge over the chasm. We talked then, really talked. Hours bleeding into dusk, Elias dozing on the rug. He confessed the isolation. Post-breakup with Lila, the firm's pressure to settle down traditional, the gnawing void after me. I dated betas, omegas, facades. None fit. Then you, with your sketches and sarcasm, cracking me open. I shared fragments too, the pregnancy terror, solo ultrasounds in sterile clinics, the joy of Elias's first word, mama, a unisex bomb for my fractured heart. I ran to protect him. From rejection. From you becoming. Him. Connor's eyes softened, thumb stroking my wrist. I'm not. Let me prove it. Drop the suit, joint custody, therapy, whatever. Just us. The word wove magic, but doubt lingered. That night, after tucking Elias in, we lingered on the balcony, city hum below, stars pricking the overcast sky. His kiss started soft, apology in every brush, but deepened hands in hair, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. We tumbled to bed, rediscovering rhythms. His weight a comfort, not cage. My gasps a symphony he conducted with reverence. Afterward, sweat cooled and sated, he murmured against my neck, "Marry me." Not for show for this. Heart stuttered. Romance in the American vein, grand gestures amid chaos. But fear whispered trap. Too soon, I breathed. Prove first. He nodded, holding tighter. Deal. The interlude was idyllic. A honeymoon preview. Picnics in Discovery Park, where Douglas firs whispered secrets. Fairy sunsets with ice cream cones dripping on chins. Connor dove into fatherhood, diaper changes with comic flair, bedtime stories laced with farm fables. Elias bloomed, calling him Con, bridging worlds. But conflict's shadow loomed. A week later, over dinner at Ivor's acres of clams, waterfront kitsch, clam chowder steaming, his phone buzzed incessantly. Work, he dismissed, but I glimpsed the sender, Voss Associates. Lila's firm. Who? Pressed. Fork midway to mouth. Old client. Nothing, but his scent soured. Evasion alpha thick. Doubt festered overnight. By morning, I'd rifled his emails, snooping born of desperation, uncovering threads. Need your input on the merger. Lila misses your touch. Flirty, professional veneer cracking into intimacy. Late night calls logged. Dinners for networking. Betrayal confirmed. He hadn't lied, not outright, but omitted the web still tangling him east. I confronted him at breakfast. Elias finger-painting oatmeal masterpieces. Level with me, I demanded, voice steel. Lila. The truth. Connor froze, spatula mid-flip. It's business, Zach. She's pushing a deal, big money, for Elias's college fund. With flirtations attached, I shoved the printout across the counter, words blurring through tears. His face paled, then flushed alpha-red. You're spying now? Jesus. After everything, I echoed, venom sweet. You claim us, but hedge bets. Go back to New York, Connor. To her world. He slammed the spatula down, Elias startling. It's not like that. She's leveraging old shit, guilt, history. I'm handling it. Handling. The word dripped scorn. Like you handled me? One night. Then ghosted feelings. The argument erupted. Kitchen a battlefield. Accusations hurled. Elias wailing from his high chair. Connor reached to soothe, but I blocked. Omega fire blazing. Out. Now. He left. Door clicking like a gunshot. Days stretched into void. Silence save Elias's questions. Where Con? I'd distract with cartoons. But grief gnawed. The suit loomed. Hearing set for next month. Therapy? We'd started. A neutral beta counselor unpacking knots. But now, solo sessions. Me venting alpha toxicities. Then, the twist. A package arrived. Unmarked. Inside, a thumb drive and note. Truth hurts. Choose wisely. L. Lila's script. Elegant venom. Files played like a noir film. Videos from that night at O'Malley's grainy, but clear. Me, heat flushed, flirting shameless. Connor, predatory grace. Then hotel footage, public hallway cam. Us entangled, passionate. But edited. Spliced with shots of me slipping out at dawn. Alone. Narrative spun, gold-digging Omega. Hit and run seduction. Rage. Then clarity. Blackmail. She knew about Elias. Aimed to torpedo custody. Paint me unfit. Why? Scorned Alpha's ex. Perhaps. Or business sabotage, Connor's defection threatening her empire. I called him. Voice shaking. We need to talk. Now. He arrived soaked. Storm raging anew. Over tea chamomile for nerves, I played the drive. His face cycled shock. Fury. Sorrow. That bitch, he growled. Alpha unfiltered. She hacked my accounts months ago, after the breakup. I fired her firm. But you didn't tell me. Hurt layered accusation. Thought it buried. He knelt before me, hands on knees. My mess, Zach. I'll fix it. Cops, lawyers, whatever. In that vulnerability, something shifted. Not forgiveness, but alliance. We spent the night strategizing. Affidavits, counter-evidence from our texts. The PIs who'd traced me clean. Elias slept between us on the couch. A tiny mediator. Dawn brought resolve. Fight together? He asked. Eyes searching. I nodded. Tentative. For him, but as cops hauled Lila in for questioning. Cybercrimes. Extortion, the real climax brewed. Her confession cracked wider. Not just jealousy, but a deeper rot. Connor's firm? She'd sabotaged deals. Framed rivals. Used him as pawn. Exposure loomed, scandal sheets buzzing. Alpha tycoon betrayed by beta bride. Paparazzi swarmed our building. Flashes like vultures. Elias hid. Terrified. I shielded. Omega fierce. Connor? He faced the fray. Press conference raw. My family's off limits. The rest? Burn it down. Yet in the chaos, doubt resurfaced. Was this love? Or spectacle? As reporters bade. I whispered. What now? When the dust settles. He pulled me close. Amid the circus. We build. You, me, him. No more ghosts. The scandal hit like a Pacific squall. Relentless. Uprooting everything in its path. By week's end, Connor's face plastered every feed from CNN to TMZ. Venture Alpha's ex-plots Omega sabotage. Seattle's liberal underbelly churned. Protests outside Voss Tower. Omega rights groups rallying with signs like, "Knots don't sign contracts." Me? I hunkered down, blinds drawn. Elias's world shrunk to cartoons and cuddle forts. His questions a litany. Bad guys gone. Mama? Not yet. Buddy. I'd ruffle his hair. The lie bitter. Bad guys wore many faces. Lila in cuffs. Yes. But also the system that pitted alphas against omegas like gladiators in a coliseum. Connor navigated the maelstrom with alpha grit. Lawyered up to the gills. But cracks showed. Nights. He'd collapse on the couch. Our bed now a no man's land. Scrubbing face with hands that trembled. Lost 3 clients today. He'd mutter. Voice hollow. Bored wants my head. Empathy warred with wariness. I'd brew decaf. Sit beside him. Our knees brushing in silent solidarity. You're still you, I'd say, echoing his words from that first dawn. But inside, turmoil. The videos leaked, scrubbed, but vicious, portraying me as seductress, homewrecker. Online trolls swarmed my freelance profiles. Gold-digging knot slut. Hate mail piled in the box. Anonymous venom that twisted my gut. One evening, post-bath for Elias. Cracked. Standing in steam-fogged mirror. Towel slipping. I traced the faded bite scar on my shoulder. Connor's mark. Now a brand. Tears came hot. Silent. Until his arms encircled from behind. Hey! He murmured. Chin on my shoulder. We're weathering this. I turned. Searching his eyes. Storm-tossed but steady. Am I? Or just collateral? His kiss silenced doubt. Tender. Then urgent. Hands mapping scars both seen and unseen. We made love in the shower. Water cascading like absolution. His body a vow against the chaos. You're my center, he whispered. Not swelling gentle. Locking us in promise. No words of forever. Just presence. Alpha yielding to Omega's rhythm. Morning brought fragile peace. We ventured out. Armored. Connor's SUV tinted. Elias buckled in with his blankie. Destination? My childhood haunt. Golden gardens, gravel paths. Driftwood bonfires. The sound stretching to infinity. Picnic unpacked. PB&J triangles. Fruit skewers. A bottle of rose for us. Elias chased waves. Shrieking delight. While we lounged on a blanket. Toes entwined. Tell me about Kansas. I prompted. Needing normalcy. The you before Manhattan. He smiled. Distant. Wichita suburbs, big sky. Bigger dreams. Dad was a feedlot boss. All John Wayne stoicism. Mom? Omega quiet. Baking pies while hiding bruises. His voice dipped. He hit her. Alpha rages after bad harvests. I vowed never control it. Channel it. Revelation landed soft. But heavy. That's why the firm? Power on your terms. Yeah. And why I chased you. He plucked a daisy. Tucking it behind my ear. You weren't afraid. Challenged me. Laughter bubbled. Unexpected. Challenged? I was drunk on you. Same. His thumb traced my lip. That night. Your laugh. The way you sketched coasters with bar crayons. Felt like coming home. Home. The word bloomed. Romantic in its American sprawl. Roadside diners. Cross-country drives. Building nests from scratch. We kissed then. Salt-tanged. Elias's giggle soundtrack. But conflict's embers glowed. Lila's trial loomed. Arraignment next week. Her bail denied. Connor testified first. Voice steady as he detailed the hacks. The blackmail. the forged docs framing him for insider trading. She weaponized our past, he said to the courtroom, eyes flicking to me in the gallery. To destroy my present. I gripped the bench, Elias with Theo in the hall, heart swelling pride and terror. Post-hearing, reporters mobbed. Mr. Hale, is the Omega baby true? Family values or scandal cover? He shouldered through, hand finding mine. No comment, except this, love wins. The quip went viral. Memes of alpha rom-coms flooding feeds. But backlash bit. Conservative outlets decried degenerate dynamics. Omega forums split. Hero or opportunist? Me? I fielded calls from my mom. Voice thawed after years. Saw the news. Zachary. Proud. And sorry. Reconciliation's taste? Bittersweet. Like huckleberry pie. Family dinner at her Queen and Victorian. Roast chicken. Awkward toasts, Elias charming her with truck noises. Connor, polite alpha, but eyes wary, scent coiled. Later, washing dishes, she cornered me. He seems solid. But Omegas. We bend too far. I know. Suds swirled, mirroring my thoughts. Bend or break. The turning point came mid-trial. Lila's defense crumbling under forensics. Her emails a confessional of obsession. He was mine, she spat on stand. Beta facade cracking. That Omega stole him, seduced. Trapped with a pup. Objection overruled. But damage done. Jurors shifted. Alphas in suits nodding empathy. Connor, livid, storming out for air. I followed. Courthouse steps slick with rain. She's right. In a way, he admitted. Back to me. Shoulders bowed. I was blind, chasing status. Ignoring the rot. I touched his arm. Grounding. Not anymore. He turned. Eyes fierce. Marry me, Zach. For real. Let me claim you, all of you, before the world does. Kneeling in the downpour. Ring glinting, simple platinum. Omega not motif, romance peaked. Dramatic as a Spielberg climax. Yes, I breathed. Pulling him up. Kiss ceiling amid flashes. Trial wrapped. Lila guilty. 5 years federal. Relief washed. But scars lingered. Media frenzy peaked. Vanity Fair profile pitched. Alpha's redemption. From one night not to family vows. We demurred. Choosing quiet. Engagement party at a Fremont brewpub. Craft IPAs and queer anthems. Friends toasting our unscripted epic. Elias, flower boy in training, toddled through, stealing hearts. But whispers nagged, Connor's remote work straining. Calls from East Coast tempting. One meeting, he'd say. Quick, doubt whispered betrayal redux. Until the doctor's call, congrats, Mr. Ellis, another on the way. Pregnancy. Unplanned. Heat sparked in our post-trial haze. Joy collided with fear. Morning sickness amid wedding plans. Ultrasounds showing a sibling for Elias. I told him over dinner at Ray's Boathouse. Dungeness crab. View of the Olympics aglow. We're expanding the empire. His face lit. Alpha joy pure. Whoop echoing. Then tender hold over my still flat belly. A girl? Boy? Twins. Shoo too early. Laughter bubbled. But tears too. Scared. Terrified. Honesty bonded us. But with you? Ready. Wedding brood small. Humanistic. Backyard vows in mom's garden. Under blooming rhododendrons. Officiant a queer elder from the community center. Rings exchanged with Elias scattering petals. Vows? Ours. I claim you not with not, But choice, Connor said, voice thick. Through storms and scandals, I echoed, I choose you, alpha mine. Flaws and all. Cheers erupted. Folk bands striking up ho hey. Guests swaying in the dusk. But as cake cut, lavender infused, P&W chic, the call came. Connor's phone. Insistent. Emergency board vote. Fly out tonight. Face fell, but he silenced it. Tomorrow. Tonight's ours. Relief. Tentative. Yet in bed later, limbs entwined, I confessed, promise me, no more pulls. He nodded, breath warm. All in, months blurred, belly swelling, nursery painted sage, Elias prepping big bro with stuffed siblings. Connor, commuted sparingly, roots deepening, volunteering at Omega youth groups, pitching ethical VC for queer startups. Climax crested not in court, but birth. Labor hit at 2 a.m., contractions like tidal waves. Hospital dash, Swedish in First Hill. Hall's humming efficiency. Connor white-knuckled beside me, coaching breaths. You're a warrior, Zach. Hours blurred. Pushes, screams, his hand crushed in mine. Then cry, piercing. Daughter. Lila Rose Hale Ellis. Irony reclaimed. Tiny fists flailing. He wept, cutting cord with shakes, then cradling her like spun glass. Perfect. Like her dad. Exhaustion claimed me, but joy anchored. Family, forged in fire. Yet humanism's thread wove deeper. Postpartum haze. Visitor streaming, Theo with balloons. Mom cooing brought reflection. Connor, changing diapers with novice flair. Shared, therapy's teaching me. Alpha isn't dominance. It's service. I nodded. Nursing Rose. Elias helping. And Omega, not victim. Partner. Outside. Seattle thrummed, rain pattering. Fairies hooting. Reminding. Life's not locked, but chosen daily. The first year with Rose was a masterclass in chaos and grace. The kind of American family portrait painted in coffee stains and lullabies. Our apartment traded for a craftsman in Wallingford. 3 bedrooms. Backyard swing set. Mortgaged on Connor's consulting gigs and my rising freelance stable. Mornings. Tandem nursing and bottle propping. Elias reading to his sister from board books. Babbling narratives only he understood. Evenings. Tag team baths. Connor's deep voice crooning. Twinkle twinkle off key. Me sketching family logos, our crest. A knotted heart amid stars. Romance simmered. Not scorched. Date nights squeezed in. Babysitter farmed evenings at Canlis. Skyline views and seared scallops. His hand under the table a anchor. Still choosing you, he'd whisper. Eyes alight. Sex reignited slow. Postpartum body navigated with his patience. Rediscovering curves in candlelight. No rush to knot. Just intimacy. Whispers of dreams. Cross-country RV trips. College funds seeded. But conflict's echo lingered, humanistic in its persistence. Lila's appeal dragged, penitentiary blues suiting her less than boardrooms, stirring tabloid ghosts. A Vanity Fair piece dropped unbidden, not until the Omega who tamed an alpha, glossy spreads, our wedding shots airbrushed, quotes cherry-picked from old voicemails. I read aloud over breakfast, voice dry. Zachary's allure was intoxicating, classy. Babe, Connor snorted, flipping pancakes. Fire the publicist in my head, but tension coiled. A client pulled, citing distractions. Doubt crept. Was our story inspiration or cautionary? Omega forums hailed me, reclaimed power, while Alpha Bros online sneered whipped. Connor dove deeper into therapy. Group now, unpacking privilege with fellow dads. Emerging softer, sent less command, more companion. Elias's preschool play cemented it. Family tree project. His drawing a scribbled trio us. Rose a pink blob pinned proudly. Daddy Khan and Mama Z. He beamed at pickup, hugging knees. Connor knelt, voice thick. Love this tribe. The word rooted us, against winds. Summer brought road trip, Route 66 Redux. Connor's dream. We piled into a rented Airstream, towed by his truck. Elias shotgun gazing prairies, Rose cooing in carrier, me navigating Spotify playlists of Dylan and Cash. Oklahoma dust devils danced as we crossed state lines, neon motels blurring into Americana haze. Stops, Cadillac Ranch, spray painting noses, Grand Canyon Rim, Rose's first sunset gumming a fistful of my hair. One night in a Taos adobe, under adobe stars, Connor pulled me to the porch swing. Remember Manhattan? Thought that was peak. I leaned into him, fireflies winking. This is better. Real. His kiss deepened, hands wandering, heat building, Omega spark to alpha flame. We slipped inside, kids asleep, making love on woven rugs, urgent, whispered, not sealing like vows renewed. Forever, he growled, release crashing. Fall returned us changed, tanned, tattooed with memories. Seattle welcomed, apples crisp at markets, leaves carpeting paths. But Climax's shadow fell gentle, Connor's offer. Headhunters calling, NYC firm, equity stake. Lead partner, heart stuttered. And us, remote base here. Fly quarterly, eyes earnest. Your call, choice, trust or tether. Nights mulled, Rose's breaths rhythmic beside me. Betrayal's ghost, Lila's web, old pulls, faded against proofs. His midnight runs for diapers, Elias's soccer cheers ringside. Yes, I said over pie at Mom's. But conditions, monthly check-ins. No solo overnights. Deal. Grin wolfish. Then soft. Proud of us. Humanism bloomed in small acts. Volunteering at the center. Connor mentoring young alphas on equity. Me leading art workshops for Omega parents. Sketches turning scars to strength. Holidays anchored. Thanksgiving turkey with Theo's crew. Christmas lights strung on the craftsman. Rose's first laugh a bell. Spring brought Rose's christening. Secular twist. Community circle in the park. Vows exchanged anew. We claim this child. And each other. In joy and grit. Elias. Ring bearer solemn. Scattered petals. Guests. Queer kin. Old friends. A tapestry of chosen family. Yet depth layered. A letter from Lila. Prison stamped. Rotting here. Your fault. But congrats on the girl. Don't fuck it up like I did. Venom-laced regret. Humanistic mirror. Flawed souls. Redeemable. Connor burned it. Ashes in the sound. Her chapter closed. Ours? Open-ended epic. 3 years post-return. Anniversary dawned rainy. Poetic. Seattle true. Babysitters claimed the kids. We ferried to Bainbridge. Hiking trails lush with ferns. Picnic under madrona trees. Charcuterie. Bubbly. His toast. To one night that birthed forever. Laughter mingled with tears. Mine. Unashamed. To alphas who learn. Omegas who lead. Picnic forgotten. We tangled in the grass. clothes shed, bodies familiar yet electric. His mouth traced my scar, reverent. My nails raked his back, claiming equal. Not swelled, waves cresting in tandem, release not conquest, but communion. After, drowsing in dappled light, he murmured, "Another." I smiled. Hand on belly, early flutter, secret shared. Maybe, sun dipped, painting us gold. Below, the fairy horn called home, Elias's giggles, Rose's coos, our nest awaiting. Betrayal, distant scar, lesson etched. Conflict, catalyst for growth. Romance, daily choice, laced with drama's spark. Humanistic end, no tidy bow, but tapestry woven, flaws threaded with grace. In America's vast, imperfect we'd carved ours, a family, knotted not by fate, but fierce, chosen love. As stars pricked twilight, Connor's arm tightened. Ready, always, we rose, hand in hand, toward the life we'd claimed, whole, wild, ours.